There's a reason mashed potatoes never really leave the American dinner table. They're warm, buttery, comforting, and somehow they go with just about everything. And when it comes to ready-made mashed potatoes, Bob Evans is one of the names people know best. And honestly, a big part of the appeal is convenience. No peeling, no boiling, no pots to scrub. Just heat it up for a few minutes and it's ready to eat. But that raises the real question. Inside the factory, how do real potatoes get turned into those soft, buttery trays of Bob Evans mashed potatoes? To keep up with the demand, Bob Evans goes through an enormous amount of potatoes every year. More than 100 million pounds of them. And the potato they count on most is the Russet. It's high in starch, lower in moisture, and that makes a big difference. Once it's mashed, you get that drier, fluffier, more cloud-like texture people expect. But getting there starts way before the factory. Since potatoes grow underground, harvesting them takes some serious equipment. Farmers use specialized diggers that can cut roughly 10 inches down into the soil and lift entire rows of potatoes up out of the ground in one pass. From there, the potatoes move onto a shaking mesh conveyor that knocks off dirt and loose soil. Then they pass through a sorting system that strips away vines, rocks, and other field debris while keeping as much of the usable crop as possible. Once the trucks are loaded, the potatoes are hauled off to ventilated storage where conditions are carefully managed to help maintain consistent quality. Then, when the next delivery window comes around, those batches of russet potatoes head to the Bob Evans plant, where they'll be transformed into the smooth, fluffy trays of mashed potatoes shoppers know so well. Every single day, up to 8 truckloads roll into Bob Evans' plant in Lima, Ohio, and each one is packed with about 50,000 pounds of russet potatoes. Once those bins are lifted and dumped by forklift, the potatoes come pouring out like a full-on potato waterfall, spilling straight onto the receiving line. From there, they move across a vibrating conveyor where the system starts sizing them up and pulling out the ones that are too small or don't meet spec before the rest continue on. The first major stop is the wash line. Inside this high-capacity industrial washing system, powerful streams of water blast away the dirt, dust, and leftover field debris still clinging to the skin. It's not just about making the potatoes look clean. This step also helps protect the more sensitive equipment waiting farther down the line. And the scale here is huge. The system can handle around 3 million potatoes a day. Once the potatoes are fully washed, they're lifted up on a vertical conveyor and sent straight into a high-pressure steam chamber. Inside, hot steam is blasted in for just a short burst, creating an intense heat shock on the surface. Then, when the pressure is suddenly released, the moisture trapped just beneath the skin expands instantly. That rapid expansion cracks the skin loose and separates it from the potato underneath. After that, the potatoes move through a rotating peel washer where any leftover bits of skin are scrubbed away. And once the peeling is nearly complete, the process shifts from machine precision to human inspection. Workers check the potatoes by hand, pulling out any damaged ones, trimming away bruised or dark spots, and cutting down oversized potatoes so everything cooks evenly in the next stage. After cleaning and inspection, the potatoes move into a high-speed cutting system. Here they're chopped down into small uniform pieces to get them ready for cooking and mashing. The blades spin at more than 1,000 revolutions per minute, producing potato pieces that are remarkably consistent, usually around 10 to 12 millimeters in size. Once cut, the pieces are sent across a vibrating conveyor that spreads them out and keeps them from clumping together. Next comes the cook step, and this is where those uniform potato pieces really pay off. They're dropped into hot water at around 210 degrees Fahrenheit for a fast, controlled cook. Because they've already been cut down to size, they don't need long to soften all the way through, usually about 15 minutes. At this point, the goal isn't just to cook the potatoes, it's to make sure the entire batch reaches the exact same level of tenderness, so everything is perfectly lined up for the next stage. While the potatoes are cooking, the plant is also building the rich, creamy base that gives the final product its signature flavor. It starts in a large mixing tank where milk is gently warmed to create a stable liquid base. Then in go the melted butter and soybean oil, blended together until the mixture turns smooth, glossy, and almost cream-like in texture. Once that base is fully uniform, the rest of the ingredients are added in. Salt, pepper, and natural flavors build out the taste, while potassium sorbate helps maintain freshness, and sodium acid pyrophosphate helps keep the finished potatoes looking lighter and brighter. Everything is mixed thoroughly until it's completely blended and ready to meet the freshly cooked potatoes. Back on the potato side, they're now fully cooked, piping hot, and ready for the most important step of the whole process: becoming mashed potatoes. But instead of being aggressively mashed, the potatoes are pushed through a ricer plate, which breaks them up gently and evenly. That detail matters a lot. If potatoes are overworked at this stage, they release too much starch, and the texture can turn gluey and heavy fast. As soon as the potatoes are riced, still steaming hot, they drop straight into a mixing tank, where that rich, seasoned cream base is already waiting. Instead of beating the mixture aggressively, the system folds it together gently, just enough to coat every bit of potato with that buttery, creamy base without crushing the structure. This is the stage that really defines the final product: how smooth it feels, how fluffy it stays, and that rich, creamy texture people expect from mashed potatoes done right. Finally, the mashed potatoes are pumped over to the filling station. Here, automated depositors portion the product into individual trays using precise preset weights, so every package coming off the line looks consistent and carries the same amount. From there, the trays move on to the lidding step. And at this point, the familiar Bob Evans mashed potatoes you see in the grocery store are basically in their final form. And that's how real potatoes get turned into those smooth, familiar trays of mashed potatoes you see on grocery store shelves. What about you? Which dish do you think mashed potatoes go best with? Let me know down in the comments. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.